Be seated. We thank you, O God, for this new day, for morning sun and evening star, for flowering tree and flowing of tide, for life-giving rains and cooling breezes, for the changing seasons, for the cycle of growth and decay, of life and health and death. We awake and behold a new day, O God. Renew us unto life. Teach us to recognize your presence in creation. Grateful for your gifts, may we dedicate all our powers to your service. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for eyes to see.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for eyes to bear.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the joy of freedom.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the power to rise.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for providing for all our needs.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for daily renewing our strength.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the blessing of sleep and the privilege of waking to a new day. Baruch sha'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ha'muhlal b'fi amo. Shubach mefar milshon chasidav v'avadav, bishvachot zmirot, legadelcha v'namlichecha malkeinu, yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal v'tishvachot. With the coming of day and night I will enter the covenant of God, and when evening and morning depart I will recite God's decrees. God Most High, you are my righteousness. You teach me goodness. You are the fountain of knowledge, the dwelling place of holiness, and the summit of glory. Eternal might and majesty are yours. I will choose whatever you teach me, gladly accepting your judgments. As soon as I move my hands and feet, I will praise your name when I go out and when I come in, when I lie down, when I rise up. When I rest in my bed, I will sing your praise, and in the company of my friends, I will praise you with the words of my mouth. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu Ha'el HaMelech HaKadol HaKadosh V'Shamayim V'Aretz Ki Lecha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohei Avotenu Sherush Vacha Halel V'Zimra Brachot V'Hodaot Me'ata V'Ad Olam Baruch Atah Adonai Habocher B'Sirei Tzivah. And let's turn over to page 135. Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Let's be seated. We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light, creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy, you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness, you renew creation continually, day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of God. Ahava Rabbah, Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gedola V'Teirach Amalta Aleinu, Inu Malkeinu, Ba'avur Avotenu Shabbatchu V'cha, V'tlandeim Chukei Chayim, Ken Techoneinu, V'tlandeinu, V'ten Libeinu Lahavinu L'Haskil, Lishmoa, Lilmod, Ulameh, Lishmor V'la'asot, L'Kayim Ekol Divrei Toratecha, B'Hava, V'ha'ereneinu B'Toratecha, V'nabek Libeinu B'mitzvotecha, Yached Levaveinu Lahava U'yira et Shemecha, Ki Banu V'charta Yachedecha B'Hava, Baruch Atah Adonai Habocher Ba'amo Yisrael B'Hava. And please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavecha U'v'chol nafshecha U'v'chol mabudecha V'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'nibarta bam V'shivtecha v'leitecha U'v'leftecha b'aderech U'v'shoftecha u'v'kumecha U'kshartam le'ot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot beyinecha U'v'chatam al mizazot beitecha U'v'isharecha. Please be seated.
Tiskeru, Asitem Kol Mitzvotai, Item Rushim Le'Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Echem Be'eretz Mitzrayim.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established, and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are sovereign God and Redeemer, that you are the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. Redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. And with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, l'ma'an shmo v'yahava, melech ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, v'chayim etim atah Rav l'Hoshia, Mashiv ha'ruach v'morid ha'geshem, Mazriach ha'shemesh v'morid ha'tam, Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayim Etim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Profet Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umchayim Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gevorot, Umi Domelach, Melech Me'mitum Chayei U'Masmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atal HaChayot Meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, M'chayei HaMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth as in the prophet's vision. The hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Haaretz Kadosh. Kvodo Malei Olam. Tofia, Betim Lochalim, Mimechakim Anachnu Lach. Yimloch Adonai Le'olam, Elohai Yitzion, V'dor V'ador, Hallelujah. From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, eternal one, the holy God, and please be seated. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn in you that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your service, to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy, for its peace. In our worship, help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness. Consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good. May our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, God. B'tzei Adonai Eloheinu b'Amachai Yisrael, U'tfilatam b'hava tekabel, U'til ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Shotecha levadecha v'yirah. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Sim shalom tova uvracha, chen b'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael amecha, barucheinu avinu, kulanu k'echad ba'or panecha, ki ba'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chayim, Ahavat chesed, utzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom, v'tov beinecha levarech et amacha Yisrael, et kol ha'amim, v'chol eitu v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Osei HaShalom. 481, 481. There is none like you, eternal one among the God's people. Worship, when there are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your reign endures from age to age. Eternal one, you reign, you have reigned, you will reign forever. Eternal God, give strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Eternal God is one. Let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name. Chapter 20, verses 1 through 10. A familiar Torah reading as the Bnei Israel are about to conquer the land. And they are urged by the captains, the chaplains, not to have any fear, despite the fact that the enemy might seem much mightier and more technologically advanced. And there are exemptions from service. And I've argued in the past that these are based on maintaining the stability of society, people in vulnerable situations. What strikes me this year is how women are regarded as property, not unlike vineyards and fields. So different ways of looking at it each year. So the other exemption is interesting in that if anyone feels in their heart that they're afraid, they should leave rather than infect the hearts of their brothers in battle. So some acknowledgement of potential PTSD. So page 305, JPSA, and Soncino, page 1089 and 305.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMavarach. Baruch Adonai HaMavarach ve'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein hasorah.
So when you take the field against your enemies and see horses and chariots, forces larger than yours, have no fear of them. For the Lord your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt, is with you. Before you join battle, the priest shall come forward and address the troops. He shall say to them, "Hear, O Israel, you're about to join battle with your enemy. Let not your courage falter. Do not be in fear or in panic or in dread of them. For it is the Lord your God who marches with you to do battle for you against your enemy, to bring you victory. Then the officials shall address the troops as follows. Is there anyone who's built a new house but is not dedicated? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another dedicated. Is there anyone who has planted a vineyard but has never harvested? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another harvested. Is there anyone who has paid the bride price for a wife but who has not yet married her? Let him go back to his home, lest he die in battle and another marry her. The official shall go on addressing the troops and say, is there anyone afraid and disheartened? Let him go back to his home, lest the courage of his comrades flag like his. When the officials have finished addressing the troops, army commanders shall assume command of the troops. Ki teitzei la milchama al oivecha, v'ra'ita sus v'rechev, am rav mimecha. Lo tidra mehem, ki Adonai Elohecha imach. Ma'alcha me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'haya kekaravchem, el hamilchama. V'nigash hakohen v'diber el ha'am v'amar aleihem, Shma Yisrael, atem krevim hayom la'milchama al oiveichem, al yerach levavechem, al tiru, al tachbezu, v'al ta'artzu mitnehem, ki Adonai Elohechem, aholech imachem, v'hilachem lachem, in oiveichem, v'hoshia etchem, v'dibru hashotrim el ha'am le'mor, ki ha'ish asher bana bayit chadash v'lo chanacham, ילך וישוב לביתו פן ימות במלחמה, איש אחר יחנכנו. ומי האיש אשר נטע כרם ולא חיללה? ילך וישוב לביתו פן ימות במלחמה, ואיש אחר יחללנו. ומי האיש אשר ארס אישה ולא לקחה? ילך וישוב לביתו פן ימות במלחמה, ואיש אחר Yekachena. V'yasfu hashotrim ledaber el ha'am, v'amru mi ha'ish ha'yarei v'rach ha'levav, yelech v'yashov leveto v'lo yimas et levav echav kilvavo. V'haya kichot hashotrim ledaber el ha'am, ufakdu sarei tzavaot v'rosh ha'am.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam v'tzat b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notei ha'torah.
Let's stand up.
Baruch Shem Torah, Yeho Yisrael, B'kedushato.
Please be seated.
The Haftorah is on page 730 and is Isaiah 52, 1 to 12. And if anyone has the Sonsino, good luck. Okay, so we praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. Your inspired, faithful prophets took pleasure in the words they spoke in truth. We praise you, O God, for the gift of Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. So, awake, Awake, O Zion, clothe yourself in splendour, put your robes of majesty, Jerusalem, holy city. For the uncircumcised and the unclean shall never enter you again. Arise, shake off the dust, Sir, on your throne, Jerusalem. Loose the bonds from your neck, O captive one, fair Zion. For thus said the Lord, you were sold for no price, and shall be redeemed without money. For thus said the Lord your God, of old, my people came down to Egypt to sojourn there, but Azariah has robbed them, giving them nothing in return. What therefore do I gain here, declares the Lord? For my people have been carried off for nothing. Their mocks howl, declares the Lord. And constantly, unceasingly, my name is reviled. Assuredly my people shall learn my name, assuredly they shall learn on that day, that I, the one who promised, am now at hand. How welcome on the mountains are the footsteps of the herald, announcing happiness, heralding good fortune, announcing victory, telling Zion, your God is king, hark. Your watchmen raise their voices, as one they shout for joy. For when every eye shall behold the Lord's return to Zion. Raise a shout together, O ruins of Jerusalem, for the Lord will comfort his people, will redeem Jerusalem. The Lord will bear his holy arm in the sight of the nations, and the very ends of the earth shall see the victory of our God. Turn away, touch not an unclean as you depart from there. Keep pure as you go forth from there, you who bear the vessels of the Lord. For you shall not depart in haste, nor will you leave it in flight, for the Lord is marching before you. The God of Israel is your rear guard. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You have been our source of strength and righteousness throughout the ages, the faithful God whose word is deed, whose every word is just and true. Okay. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat day, in which you, eternal God, have given us for holiness and rest, for honour and beauty, for all these we give thanks. May all who living come to praise your name forever. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Shabbat.
We continue on page 484. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessings for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. I learned just before the service started by email that Mike Solomon passed away early this morning after a very, very long battle, courageous battle with cancer. Alan and Janet, we of course send them our love and wish them strength and courage. There are no immediate plans. There may well be the funeral at Edgewarebury on Monday or Tuesday, but not sure. And there'll be 3 or 4 nights' prayers, depending on the date of the funeral. So obviously we have monitored Mike's illness for a good while now. and he's lost his long battle, and we wish the whole family strength and much love. I'm aware that Trudy Goodman has gone into Edinburgh House. And is there anyone else that I should know about that we should share, who's ill or otherwise having quite a rough time?
Vivian Macra.
Yeah?
Looks for prostate cancer.
Oh.
Starting treatment.
May we all find here community, friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the house of Israel throughout the world, that those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai ki nisgav shemo levado. Let us praise the Eternal One, whose name alone is exalted. Precepts are right. Its commandments are clear. Its doctrine is pure. Its guidance is true. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life, to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace.
Oh
this time last week, I had just arrived home from Poland. I'd been invited by some academics in Łódź from the university there who are studying Jewish history to attend and participate in the memorial ceremony for the 75th anniversary of the final deportations of Jews from the Łódź ghetto. So I did that, and there was a fascinating conference, and during the breaks I once again wandered around the area of the Łódź ghetto, which is large. So many of the buildings are just as they were. And unlike Warsaw, where the developers had come in to rebuild everything. And then, so that was through Friday morning. And then Friday morning, I went up to Warsaw by train, which incidentally was only an hour and a half and about 5 pounds, and a very clean, fast, wonderful train. And went to visit again the grave of my great-grandmother, which I discovered in January. And then spent a little bit of time in Warsaw before coming home. So there are two aspects to this, at least. One is, of course, just a couple of days ago, September 1st, the onset of the Second World War. Speaking of war and battles. And also the overwhelming odds that the Poles faced in terms of blitzkrieg and how they were conquered so quickly, and then began the mass slaughter of Poles, Jews, and so on, the worst of any country in the war. And indeed, I should remind you that the city of Warsaw lost more people than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. And indeed, in terms of casualties, both in deaths and lost people and injuries and wounds and everything, more than any city known in human history to have suffered. So I was invited to say a few words at this ceremony. I was the only rabbi who was remotely non-highly Orthodox in attendance. And with a bit of chutzpah, I used the occasion to give a progressive perspective. And I just want to share with you for 3 minutes or so the remarks that I gave. And then to look at the micro. So that's the macro. Then I want to look at the micro of the people who had to flee, Jewish people who fled virtually immediately. So as I spoke, this was translated into Polish as I went along. So my previous visit to Łódź was in January, and I was here the same day that the hugely respected and loved mayor of Gdansk, Paweł Adamowicz, was assassinated by a right-wing extremist. My friend Dr. Eva Wiatr noted, here in Poland, we don't know how to talk to each other. I spoke at the memorial gathering held the following evening about how we are all in the same very leaky boat together, like it or not, and that as human beings, our job is to be humanitarians, to help each other regardless of our differences and because of differences. Indeed, because the aim of Nazism and those others committing genocide is to eliminate difference for the sake of some mythical notion of purity. And then I spoke about the ambivalence of human beings, and this was a subliminal sort of Elul thought, that ambivalence is built into our nature, and I cited the example from the Torah, which I've shared many times here. Biblical creation story is fascinating if we don't take it at face value, slavishly. Rather, let us look at the literary structure, and the occurrences are not of specific words. For example, human beings do not receive the terms Vayichi chen, and it was so fixed or known, nor ki tov, for it was good, directly when they are created in the story. So we are free, unfixed, maximally powerful, and not necessarily good. Humans are the only creatures not to receive either phrase. Our status in the text is that of anomaly. We are absolutely ambiguous, absolutely ambivalent. So what is to be done? The finest prophets of all faiths and secular humanism are agreed that our job is to exercise justice, compassion, and kindness towards each other, regardless of background, status, difference, or so-called strangeness. Hospitality towards strangers is but one